Dun, 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 dun. MBK Budget News.
Hi everyone out there watching and welcome to MBK News. If you cast your memories back to your days of both primary and high school, you'll remember many uses of popular culture being incorporated into your learning schedule. Popular culture provided a basis for educating students of important times in history, global trends, acceptable behaviour and issues in society.
So this leads us to today's discussion. What is the effect on the learning of students of using popular culture resources in schools that objectify women? Let's think, what type of popular culture resources dominate the schooling curriculum?
Books, movies.
At the Australian education curriculum that is in place now, and even the way it has been altered across a number of decades, it is clear that popular culture has been used as a teaching pedagogy for a decent amount of time.
Secondary teacher and researcher Shannon Faulkner conducted a study that analysed popular culture to provide student choice in analytical writing and found that popular culture assisted students in understanding the complex nature of prescribed literature in the curriculum. In saying this, she suggests that popular culture is an important aspect to have as a part of the education curriculum, as it is, and I quote, a mirror of culture and societal values, problems, issues, ideas, discoveries, fears, desires, and relations.
Published in The Independent, questions whether or not there is a role for popular culture in education. Author Malcolm Jack indicates that there are many people out there that believe that the imaginations of youth in schools need to be fired up. He goes on to suggest that this can be achieved through the use of enlightening and exciting learning tools. However, we now question, is this a problem to students learning when it plays a significant role in demonstrating to students just how women are objectified in everyday societal roles? Let's continue our conversation by discussing the ways in which the dominant popular culture forms used in schools, books and movies objectify women. Hey, Morgan.
Okay.
We conducted an analysis of the English prescribed texts set out by the Board of Studies, Teaching and Educational Standards of New South Wales for both kindergarten to year 10 and the high school certificate. The HSC novel, 1984 by George Orwell, presents a large focus on the history of Marxism and totalitarianism. However, it also presents an argument of gender and how men, no matter what their social stance, have the power to degrade and use women as objects. The novel, published in 1949, represents the objectification of women through the female character of Julia. This is achieved through the way that men, such as Winston Smith, treats her as a figure for pleasure and sexual intercourse. The fact that Julia is portrayed completely nude in many scenes compared to the male characters is an indication of how men see it as being okay to objectify women and make them feel vulnerable.
The resources are taught in a way that can be considered as incorrect, such as portraying the action of objectifying women as something that is acceptable. Students may consider this as a social norm. Parents are also a factor that comes into this equation, as it is quite common for them to not want their children to engage with material that can be so confronting. In addition, the teacher may actually feel an incredible amount of discomfort with having to teach such a provocative issue.
Apart from English, there are other subjects in schools which use popular culture resources, in particular films, that objectify women. For example, Mean Girls.
Throughout the movie, there are high expectations expressed as to what a man and other women perceive to be the ideal woman. Sadly, this significantly focuses on being thin and losing weight to do so. For example, Regina George expresses her desire to lose 3 pounds by only drinking cranberry juice, so that she is able to fit into her prom dress. This is further explored in another scene, where Regina tries on her dress at a store that is called 135, which itself endorses that for a woman to be accepted in society, they need to be thin. Mean Girls is a typical movie studied in the preliminary and HSC subject Society and Culture under the topic of feminism. Studying this movie, students can perceive its messages about the stereotypical woman in negative ways. Potentially, students may gain the understanding that it is perfectly acceptable and normal to want to diet to achieve an unhealthy weight and appear sexually appealing to men. With the continuous rise of eating disorders, the last thing we want, both male and female students, to think is that this is acceptable. Hey Morgan!
In comparison, teachers can use this movie to positively teach students, particularly girls, that they do not need to diet and be a certain way to be considered attractive and beautiful. It can emphasize the encouragement that both boys and girls should be happy with who they are.
There has been recent conflict in Australian schools about the way that students are expected to dress. We personally believe that these rules have been blown out of proportion and detract from the importance of education. In an article by Susanna Weiss, she incorporates the experience and perception of a 15-year-old student in Melbourne who shares, while schools might claim that their dress codes are intended to avoid the sexualisation of girls, they often actually serve the opposite purpose, to objectify them by putting focus on their looks and painting their bodies as a distraction.
So what can we do about this issue and our main problem? We believe that it isn't a matter of sheltering students from this issue, but rather using resources that objectify women to help students learn about how this issue has and continues to change over time. How we are moving away from the stereotypical sexual and ideal image of women towards powerful and independent figures of society.
Thank you and good night.